You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AfterBuzz TV's Archer After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's Archer After Show.
Hey guys, what is happening? And welcome to the Archer AfterBuzz After Show. We're doing this because Bing is for doing, and we're doing the AfterBuzz Archer After Show. And guys, you might notice that there's some faces missing that you're used to, like Greg Goodness and John Barrett. They couldn't make it here because, you know, they're doing some stuff for ISIS. It's cool. So I think. But sitting to my right, Scott Moore.
Woo! Yes, I'm here. I'm the constant thread of this season. I've been here every episode. Thank you very much.
You actually are the only person that has been here every episode. And guys, I am Dave Klein, and in the booth we have Marissa.
What's up, guys?
How is it going, Marissa?
Pretty good. I'm excited to be with you guys. This is the first time I'm doing the Archer with you.
Yeah, we're excited to have you.
And
Thank you.
I used to do shows with Marissa all the time in the booth, and she just left me. So
I'm sorry.
I'm
I never
glad
left.
she's back.
She's back, and that's all that matters.
Yep.
I was in tears. But let's talk about Live and Let Dine.
Yes.
This is one of the easier references that
it
they
is.
had in the title names.
It is, and I love it.
And I was a big fan of the entire reality Food Network show that they had going. It was kind of like Hell's Kitchen, I think. That was kind of the
Exactly. That's exactly what it was. And I loved it because at first when it opened up, I was thinking, what the hell are they doing here? Are we in some weird dream sequence thing? Are they completely off track? Everyone has a name. They're doing this whole reality thing. I had no idea what was going on at the beginning
And
there.
I think Lance Casteau is the main chef, and I think he was kind of a Gordon Ramsay type of character because of the Hell's Kitchen reference. But everyone had their kind of alter egos from the whole cooking world, which was great. You had Cyril, who was Chet. Archer was Randy Randerson, the sous chef.
Yes.
And then Lana was Mitzi, which was great, the hostess
slash failed actress. That was awesome.
We also had Ray as Guy de Ray. So he was still Ray, pretty much, as Guy de Ray, who was a child murderer.
Child slash murderer. Little hyphen there. That was great.
Well, oh, yeah. I think it was child dash murderer.
Dash murderer, yes.
So it would be a child murderer.
Yes. That was brilliant, though. I loved it.
So all the alter egos were awesome, and they were kind of playing out through the entire episode, as we saw.
And we can't forget about having Anthony Bourdain on there, too. This was finally where he was on, and we were waiting for that. We knew he was going to be a guest, and it was great to have him on.
Yeah, that's right. And I liked that there were also a lot of references to previous episodes, and one of the references that we had right off the bat was Archer as Randy Randerson talking about how he used to own a restaurant. It was a burger, and then as Cyril points out, it was a burger joint. So it's that reference to episode 1 of this season. So it was great to have that kind of that pullback, and we kind of we haven't seen that reference anywhere, and it finally was referenced again.
Yep.
So throughout the episode, we have all their egos playing out. I feel like Lana's was kind of the one that really was getting that in-joke a lot in the beginning.
Yes. Which I loved it, too, with the whole thing where she was answering the phone. It was great.
And it's you have to turn them down by being, be polite, but not too polite.
Right.
You can't be too much. And so there's a 10-month wait to get into the restaurant, and they just had to answer the phones to tell them they couldn't get into the restaurant, unless you had the alternate phone line. So pretty much a worthless job for Lana, who's trying to do her real job the whole time. Typical Lana. All she is concerned, where everybody else is pretty much completely into their role. Archer thinks that this is his chance to live up to his dream of being a sous chef, and he is completely playing it out. Looks up to Lance Casteau, and he is trying to make things happen.
He is, and especially because he had said in the episode he never had any other real job at all. So this was his first opportunity since what he said he was joking was since he was 10.
Yeah, since he was 10, where he was trying to go out and do handouts, but
Yeah.
it was too dangerous, according to his mother. And he's really enjoying himself and asking Cyril to do, really just bossing Cyril around, asking him for onions, which are then not chopped, and having him cut up sheep faces, and which was pretty gross. I don't know if I'd want to eat a sheep face, but apparently that was the dish.
That was the specific dish they were known for. And did you see the board too? They had the little whiteboard in the back there, and it said "Suck it, Chet," which I thought was great too. Just a complete way to make fun of him. So.
And I think it was also Lance was making fun of him, Archer was making fun of him, and then there's also the moment where Lana was trying to get into Lance's good side by speaking some French. Because what does a snobby restaurant connoisseur chef do? Obviously, they speak French.
Of course.
Doesn't work.
Yeah.
He sees right through it. But it was a good moment. It was a good, I like that poem.
Yeah, and this was an episode too where I felt like there wasn't, everyone against Archer this time. It kind of felt like now it had changed a little bit. Like this wasn't everybody going after Archer. So I kind of like that too. We kind of switched it around a little bit.
I think that's a good point. I didn't really think about that too much, but really, it was more of an episode against Mallory at the end. I mean, it was kind of more against Mallory, but nobody was really. Archer was being his typical dick self, but no one was necessarily mad at him per se. He was just into this role.
Yeah.
And we then have the whole B storyline going on too, along with this, which is we're back in ISIS, and Mallory apparently has been the only reason that there's security at Says is the name of the restaurant they're at, is because Mallory wants a table at Says, and that is the entire reason.
Which I thought was brilliant. So she completely sets the whole thing up so she can try to get in.
And it seems totally typical of Mallory's character, exactly what she would do. And she ends up having a conversation with Pam and ends up stealing Pam's fish, Jermaine. And Pam is legitimately upset about this. She starts crying because of losing Jermaine.
Yeah, I love when Mallory's like, "Get me a table now or the fish gets it."
And it's just completely unexpected. What, a fish in a bowl, that's what Pam cares about. But apparently, I think it's kind of like a cockfighting type of thing.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It was like the fish fighting.
Yeah,
she
like
showed the
fish
scene
fighting.
with her with some undercover thing with the other guy with the fish with the bowl. It was great.
Right, and that was totally not expecting that. It's like, does Pam just have some weird sentimental thing for fish?
Yeah.
No, of course, it's a Pam character thing.
Yes.
What does she do? She does homeless people fights and fish fighting.
Fish fighting.
Of course.
Yes. Which now she's got to win back her 14 grand there that she apparently used by losing, or who knows what happened. Maybe we don't want to know.
And she's trying to do whatever she can to get Cheryl to make this call and make it happen, because Cheryl is nonstop trying to call into Says to get a restaurant, and Lana is not doing her job. She's terrible. She's not a good hostess, and she won't pick up the phone and tell people no.
I wonder if this happens. There was a similar thing with a lot of these high-end restaurants, but there was always that thing with there's this restaurant in Napa, the French Laundry, and it was literally one of those things that you had to call in every day at 9 in the morning to try to get a reservation for like 6 months out. And I was wondering if that was a take on that particular restaurant. I don't know, but it just made me think about that when we were watching it.
Well, I know you definitely hear about and think about restaurants like that too, and there's also I'm sure a lot of people watching Archer are also big Futurama fans. There's also the Futurama restaurant, which is the same sort of idea of it's impossible to get into, and it's just another take on that restaurant. And Lana is trying so hard, and we finally get another return of the Armory.
Yes, that was something I was going to bring up too, because there was just so much going on in this episode, and that was great to have the Armory back in there too. I love that.
And apparently Cheryl's turn-ons just go away immediately, because last time we were in the Armory, she was so turned on to the Armory guy for treating her like crap. It's already gone. Not there anymore, because she does not want to give this guy a hand job.
Yeah.
She just doesn't want to do it.
For what was that? The 934TX? Is that what it was called? The equipment for the phone to get the
Yeah,
it was like this big contraption for.
And somehow they're able to get the number to call in the secret number,
Yes.
the other side number,
Which was the special number, the secret number, to be able to get into the restaurant number. All the rest was it was fake.
And for some reason he was the guy to do it at the Armory. I really didn't get that connection.
I
why
didn't
he
either. I
the
thought
guy.
it was the equipment was what you could get to be able to get the number.
Okay,
was that 934TX
right.
monstrosity. Now, was it just me or did the guy look skinnier in this episode?
He looked different.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, was it just me or did he actually look different in this episode? And I'm not sure if it, maybe because I'm already drunk. I don't know.
Yeah, no, no, he looked different.
He
to
did
me.
look different. Okay, so it wasn't just me.
And
All right.
before we go on to kind of them kind of coinciding, I do want to talk more about the whole restaurant and the A storyline, because something that we kind of didn't mention and glossed over. I love this take on the whole reality world and then making fun of it and how everything they did was turning and being like, that's for the bumper. Now, that one was for the bumper.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's everything Lance Casteau is doing and yelling. He'll kind of make a little aside about it for the bumper or make another aside to kind of correct himself and make himself more politically correct.
Yeah, that was great. And he would turn to the camera and he would say something so it was politically correct. And then they're like, is that going to be in there? Can you edit that out? Like, yes, we could, but we won't.
Yeah, and then there's
great.
also the whole scene at the beginning where for some reason they're being taped, and Lana doesn't want to blow their cover for ISIS, but of course there's the reality TV crew there, and which means that they're all going to be on TV.
Yep.
Which I wonder, it'd be fun if that actually ends up coming back, and somehow this is a reference back where they were on TV, and this episode gets out.
One, I can hope. We can only hope, right? Like later on.
And we have Ray really playing into it too. The first moment that we get Ray is after Lance yells at him. We get him crying to the camera and doing a confessional.
I love that line too, when he says to him, "Should you be smoking in here?" And then he turns around and says, "Should you be flaming in here?"
Yeah, that was a great line.
That's great because it was true. Because he was sitting there smoking the whole time in the kitchen, and like, what is he doing?
And the other great thing is every time that we had them talk, like say, is this going to be in the bumper? Is this going to be in the bumper? We then actually saw the bumper, and every single one of those scenes was in the bumper. Every one of them. So it was great to get that and have that little intro graphic. And I think it was called, what was the name of the show? Bastard
Chef. Yes.
Bastard Chef. So the new reality show, Bastard Chef.
Yeah.
So
they could pitch that tomorrow.
Before we get into talking about Says and the reunion of everyone at Says, I do want to say, guys, that we appreciate your feedback and support in any way possible. Whether that be going to iTunes, go to YouTube, please rate, please comment, positive or negative. It doesn't matter. We just want to know how we can make this show better for you guys. So definitely comment. Definitely let us know what you guys think. And you guys can also come on the live chat and hang out with us. So we've got Watchtower Base on right now chatting with us. And if you guys have comments on the show, come in and we'll definitely read your comments and talk about them and read them out on the show.
Yeah, love that.
So come be a part of it. We want to hear from you guys.
Live, right? At 9:30 Pacific Standard Time, 12:30 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time.
Thank you. Yes, 12:30 in the a.m., 9:30 on the p.m.
Yes.
So
going on right now.
Check us out. All right, guys. So let's talk about the reunion at Says. So Mallory finally gets what she wants. She has gotten into Says. And the Albanian ambassador is there as well, which is apparently where the threat was. And we find out that the threat was actually Mallory making a fake threat specifically so ISIS could get hired in order to be security just so she could get a table. That was the entirety of her
it was
plan.
kind of a win-win for her. She could get, a gig. She'd get the company some money there and something to do, and then at the same time she could get into the restaurant. So it was a great plan on her part, actually.
You have to wonder if they've... I don't think we've heard of them doing this in the past, but it seems like just the thing ISIS would do. And how many threats could they make like that, too? They could pretty much just self-employ themselves everywhere when you think about it.
That's what I'm saying. It's a recession-proof job, people, right there.
Yeah, exactly. You make a fake threat, and what do you know? Who should you hire us? And
right.
It's perfect.
Everyone needs security.
And maybe that even happens in real life.
I know. If not, I need to get on that right now.
We need to start a new company.
We do.
And we know what we're doing.
That's right. And Homeland Security, they got a lot of money to spend, so let's make it happen.
So everything at this dinner is catered to the Albanian ambassador. So apparently they eat sheep's faces, which Chet is not happy about doing. I'm gonna call him Chet, but Chet / Cyril's not happy about doing. And
alter ego Chet. Yeah.
Some weird, I don't know. Did you know what the dessert dish was called?
No.
I was trying to write it down.
I didn't. Yeah, I didn't. I was bad. Didn't catch it.
But just something
I
that
heard about the whole slop thing that what's the name? Lance was saying at the beginning, or at the end, like it's all Albanian food. It's slop. It's all mixed together. It was pretty bad. So I don't know. That's all I got. So I don't know what they had for dessert.
So we have the crew kind of all together finally at once, and with Mallory, we have her husband. We've got Ron is still there.
Ron has made his return onto
Ron
because he hasn't been in there for a couple episodes, so it was good to have him back.
And then we got Patton and Cheryl got to eat there too. And as our new engineer has pointed out to us, John, this is actually the same accents that they're using when they had the fancy dinner party during the fancy dinner episode where Mallory was accused and trying to hide the body. Lo scandalo. Hold on. Let's get that mic out.
Yes, one more time.
Lo scandalo.
Lo scandalo.
Lo scandalo.
Yes, they were in their fancy dinner party voices.
Which is one of my favorite episodes. And
it is. It's a great one.
And we were wondering, we had to check, but it could have been the same costumes they wore to the fancy dinner party.
You know, they recycled their wardrobe. You gotta stick with the budget here. So maybe they did.
Why not?
We'll have to look back. I'm curious now too. I almost want to watch it now when I get back.
But when you think about it, it could also just be a callback for people who catch it too.
Yeah,
I don't
even
think of that as necessarily being a budget thing. I think it's
no,
fun.
no. I know. I was kidding. You know, it's just an old wardrobe talent joke. But, you know, you just rewear your clothes. But yeah, that's the great thing about animation. You can do whatever you want. Right?
It's wonderful, of course, especially with Archer, as we've seen.
Yeah.
So I love Ted Cadillac being the typical old grandfather character.
Yes.
Bringing saltine crackers
and jelly
everywhere.
Keeping it in his pocket, which, yeah, exactly.
And
that
for
was
those
so
of you
great.
watching the video version, we
yeah,
actually in
right
the background,
now,
we
look
have
at that.
him
This
with
is
the
perfect
saltine
time. This is
cracker.
how good we are. We timed it up with the actual background of the show.
We just knew to do that.
Yes.
So
I mean, we're pros here, people. We're pros.
He has brought it to the opera in the past. So Mallory is used to this. It's just one of his quirks that she's not happy about.
No.
One of his several quirks.
She's used to it. She doesn't like it, though.
And then now Pam's trying to eat the saltine crackers. And we find out, too, because they're not getting drinks. And Mallory's unhappy because Lance is trying to cater everything to the Albanian ambassador. She's not happy because she can't get drinks. So he has juice boxes with him, too. So pretty much every food. He just brought everything with him that you could possibly need.
Yeah, whatever he could fit in his jacket, he brought with him.
And we have kind of this serving to the Albanian ambassador, and they serve him finally the dessert. And Archer's they're serving to him, and he's paid the compliment that is the best that the ambassador's ever had when he drops dead.
Yeah.
So at first we're not sure, was it poisoning, was it Archer's bad cooking? And we come to find out that it was actually Lance who poisoned him, and by poisoning his plate.
Yes. Which is great, because again, it's kind of like bringing everybody back in, as we found out. Why would Lance do that? And he said at first it was for $6 million, and it was a great joke about him going out and going around the world to taste everyone else's crappy food and talk about it. You know, I thought that was great. Nice take on Anthony Bourdain. But I love the whole reason behind it. Who paid him the $6 million?
And the person was Barry.
Yes.
So we finally
Barry
get
and
Barry
Katya.
back. Yes,
was,
Barry and Katya.
They were back, you know, like we talked about in the previous episodes. Like, here they are back, working together in evil tandem. And that was great.
So $6 million to make ISIS look like fools.
Yes.
It's a pretty good price to pay.
It is a pretty good price to pay, yeah. Of course, you know, he murdered someone, but, you know, $6 million.
But you have
good money.
You have to wonder, though, if, I mean, they figured it was him, and on the phone he admits it's him. So how does he think he's going to get another TV gig?
Yeah, right.
I mean, they're like, oh, you killed the Albanian ambassador, but here's another TV gig. That's all right. Not quite good thinking, but I do love the reasoning, like you said. Just so he can be a dick and call other people's food crap, which, again, another funny take on reality food shows.
Yes, it was great. But, yeah, maybe he gets, I don't know, diplomatic immunity from somewhere to go out.
From Russia.
Yeah,
maybe be a Russian show.
That's what the KGB gives him some kind of immunity. He goes and travels wherever he wants, but he doesn't have to go back to the U.S. I don't know.
I guess that would be it. As long as he's in Russia, he'd be safe and he'd be fine. So that's the place they go. But they get pissed off at him, and they decide to do a little dip move with their helicopter, and he flies out.
Yeah.
So no more Lance Casteau.
Yeah, but it was great. I was gonna say, because he kind of flew out the helicopter, sort of like what the Pope did today. You know, just took off and was like, "See you later, I'm out." So that was great, and then that was it.
So I thought it was a fun, different episode, because it really was, and we were talking about this beforehand, how different this episode was, and we have Lions fan on the chat saying, with a $6 million payoff money talks and you know what walks. So basically with $6 million, you could pretty much take care of what you need to take care of.
True. If anyone wants to pay me $6 million to do whatever, I will. Thanks.
But yeah. And this was kind of an episode where they pretty much could have put this episode, for the most part, anywhere.
Yeah.
Except for the fact that we had Barry being the one who was behind everything. But for the most part, the first half of the episode, you really could have placed that anywhere.
Oh yeah,
after
no,
the
absolutely.
First episode.
You definitely could have. But it was great to have all these things that we've had all season long so far kind of back in this particular episode, with the armory, with having Ron in there, with having Katya and Barry back. So you had a lot of the people and things that we've already visited earlier in the season, so that was kind of nice to kind of tie all that in there. And there was just a lot going on, and I thought it was really well executed this episode.
I enjoyed this change of pace, because sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But I just thought that they did such a good job executing the whole take on reality food shows.
Yeah, it was great.
There's a while where I was watching a lot of reality food shows, so all the jokes really connected with me, and I got a good kick out of them.
No, I thought it was really well done, because like we were saying, when it first started, I thought, where are they going to take this? Seriously, like, this could go really bad, but they're so smart the way they do it. They had the quick, smart one-liners. Everything just connected really well, so it was really well done.
So before we jump on some news and gossip, I do want to mention that we actually have a new AfterBuzz show, or not show, a new AfterBuzz shop. 2 letters I mixed up. It was close enough, right? Show, shop. A new AfterBuzz shop that you guys should definitely check out. Go to AfterBuzzTV.com. It's on the left side at the top. Click on the AfterBuzz TV shop, and you can buy AfterBuzz TV merchandise. Or you could buy all your favorite needs for anything you could possibly want by clicking on the Amazon link on the top right. Just click on the link, pay exactly what you pay anyways at Amazon. Buy Fire Emblem on Game Boy, on the 3DS. It's amazing. And buy through Amazon but just click on our link and it'll help support us. So definitely please do that. So we got some big news and gossip for today.
AfterBuzz TV News.
You want to jump on that, Scott?
Yeah, no, this was great. Although to me personally, it was just totally expected. But I don't know about you. But basically, it's been announced that Archer will be back for a 5th season.
Yeah. All right. Good news.
Yes.
And it was big news, but like you, it was kind of something where I honestly wasn't even thinking about it. And when the news came out, I was just kind of like, oh, did that not already happen?
Yeah, I was like,
I just kind of assumed it was.
Of course it's going to happen.
Because I think this season's been its best ratings.
It has been. In fact, it is the 2nd highest rated cable show behind Walking Dead for the men 18-34 age group. So that's fantastic news. And it has grown every single season. So yeah, it just makes sense. Bring it back for a 5th season. Common sense.
And it's got to be, I imagine, I mean, their budget's been growing on it too, indicating that it's doing well if they're going to keep upping the budget for it. And we have all these, and you can see when you watch, like, lower thirds don't cost that much money to make, but just some, like, the bumper graphic that they made, that probably costs a little bit more money than they usually would have thrown into the show.
Yeah.
So, definitely good to see, and we're excited. I'm glad to see you coming back.
I know. I was like, hey, I can come back next year and do other AfterBuzz with Archer. So, no, it's great news. Again, if I was just stepping back, I would have thought it was expected, but I guess you never want to assume anything. But it's great to have it back 5th season, and again, it's growing year in, year out, and is now the 2nd highest rated cable show for men. So awesome.
And being
news.
that we're men,
That's
and
right.
the other show I do is Walking Dead.
That's what I said. There you go. You got the number 1, number 2 cable shows right now for men 18-34.
Apparently, I'm a very normal guy. That's what it says.
That's
really what it says about me.
Yeah.
All right, but I want to jump on some comments real quick from you guys before we get into our predictions. So we had on YouTube Michael Panzer commenting that he enjoyed the show. Thank you so much for watching and enjoying it. Hopefully you've enjoyed this episode without the Greg Goodness and John Barrett factor.
Yes.
But he wants to know where he can rate the podcast because he watches, I assume, on YouTube. So actually, if you watch on YouTube, there is a link to our podcast on iTunes. You click on that link, and then if you have an iTunes account, I think you have to have an account, you just click whatever you want to rate it. I'm not going to tell you a rating, but you know what you should put.
Yeah, you know. We don't have to tell you.
So just click on that link if you're watching the YouTube version of it, and it'll take you straight to our iTunes Archer page. And you can also search Archer AfterBuzz in iTunes and find it that way. So those 2 ways to find it, and then you can rate it or download it and listen to it at work or... At work, that's the place to listen, right?
Of course,
definitely
because you've got nothing else to do at work but listen to us.
Exactly. So let's jump on some predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
So I feel like this was one of those episodes that didn't really lead to many possibilities for future episodes, because sometimes you have, like, last week's episode, we had the possible reveal of Archer's dad that didn't happen, which can lead kind of to more predictions of what's going to come next. And this one didn't really have much of that, but I think it would be fun to see this somehow end up being on TV, and maybe they get recognized randomly at some point for this episode that was on TV. I would love to see that. I don't. You know what? I'll make that a formal prediction. This will come back somehow. That's an official prediction. And I do think that we're gonna have from last week some points the whole Archer's dad conundrum resurfacing again.
Yes. I would definitely agree with you with the dad thing, because I think that's sort of the way they do their episodes here. They'll let it go for a few episodes and they'll bring it back in. So the dad thing will definitely, there'll be at least another clue. They may not tell us exactly who the dad, they may not even do it all this season. They may wait until now that they're coming back for 5th season. They may kind of leave us hanging, but they will definitely bring the dad thing back. I think what was good about this episode, even though, like you said, it didn't really bring anything hugely specific of what we can look forward to, but obviously we saw all these characters back in there. So that, to me, led to believe that, okay, we're going to continue this going throughout this season, that obviously Barry and Katya are going to be continuing to plan some evil craziness against ISIS and the team, and so we'll see more of them. And, you know, Ron's back there, so everybody's there and they're represented, so I think we're going to see more of them in the next couple episodes, especially with Barry and Katya. They're planning something.
And on what you were talking about, Barry and Katya, we didn't see them in last week's episode. Yeah. And like you were talking about, they do that thing where they kind of take a couple weeks off and bring it back. And there are actually a bunch of characters. Like, we didn't see any Krieger this episode.
We didn't. No, that's true. That was a good point. No Krieger this episode, but they brought the Armory guy back, even though he looked different to both of us. They brought him back. They brought the Armory back. So they had a lot of the characters and things that we've been introduced to earlier this season. They brought them back all in this episode.
Did he used to have a mustache? He had a mustache this episode, didn't he?
He did. I don't know why he looked different. I don't know.
Looked different.
I think he lost weight. I don't know.
Maybe that was it. All right.
There's something. You guys tell us if you know. Did he look different or not?
Tell us. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us this week. And guys, my name again is Dave Klein. You can find me on Twitter at @TheDaveKlein. That's Klein, or go to my website djk-online.com.
And I'm Scott Moore. You can twat at me at sman80. That's SMAN80.
Please twat him. Please.
Yes, please do.
Please.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.